So again, this is John Philip Billones. You can call me JP for short. And I'm a business development officer for the Mindanao desk of First Metro Securities, the stock brokerage house of the Metro Bank Group. And this is actually our lineage. So we actually are under GT Cap. And under GT Cap, you have their Metro Bank. So under Metro Bank, there's an investment banking arm. That's your First Metro Investment Corporation. Then under that, you have us, First Metro Securities Brokerage Corporation. So essentially, for clients who would like to invest or trade stocks, we are able to provide them a medium of convenience to our platform. And we've been through many corporate milestones through the years. We actually started our operations in 1994. Then we launched our online website in 2006. Then we launched our online trading app in 2012. Then in 2016, we actually enabled our clients to invest in other asset classes such as bonds and money markets through FundSmart, because we actually allowed our clients to invest in mutual funds through our one-stop shop. And in the recent years, we've actually won numerous awards from International Finance Best Online Broker and Best Online Trading Platform. And of course, I think the most notable is from Finance Asia. This is actually the Philippines Best Broker Award. And we've won this from 2017, 2018, and 2020. And we look forward to the coming years that would still be winning this. And we acknowledge this is the current demographics of stock market investors in the Philippines. As you can see, for a country with over 100 million in population, only 1.2 million have stock market accounts. So that's why they say that less than 1% invest in the stock market. And most of them even prefer online. So as you can see here, we have 782,000, and that's where we come in because we are an online broker. Most of them are also locally employed at 80.1%, but there's been gaining interest from OFWs and even students. As you can see here in the map, most of them come from Metro Manila, 75.7%, but the rest of the country have yet to catch up. Even where I am based, no, dito sa Mindanao, sa Davao City, we only comprise around 3.3%. Okay? So this comes from PSE Stock Market Investor Profile in 2019. So when the 2020 update comes in, I'm going to share this and update you. That's why, especially our team, the Business Development and Market Education team, we conduct seminars from island to island, even tapping private, public, and academic institutions to conduct these types of sessions. As you can see, because of the pandemic, we cannot do this already. No, mass gatherings are not that encouraged right now. If they do, only unlimited limited capacity. So of course, we won't be able to maximize that. But thanks to technology, we are able to conduct this through a webinar. Even with the pandemic, no, I thought that the invitations would stop coming in, but we were still invited by private institutions to conduct financial literacy to their employees, even government institutions such as Negosyo Center, not only financial literacy, but also Stock Market 101. And even academic institutions such as Ateneo de Manila University, wherein we conduct technical analysis. Because in this place, we had a Stocks Plus na tournament wherein they had virtual money, and whoever is able to make it bigger after the sessions, then they would win the tournament. So here we thought about introduction to technical analysis. And sometimes we are also invited, no, by local influencers, wherein they feature us in their respective blogs and communities to talk about the stock market. And even TGFI, the Global Filipino Investors, they actually also invited us, no, to teach their community, be it dun sa main community nila or sa premium members nila. In this case, you see here, we taught them how to buy their first stock market investment and choose a good blue chip company. So parang medyo, as you can see, no, the themes ng mga seminars namin medyo tailor fit siya. So yan lang din maganda sa amin, because if you're going to invite us to your respective organizations, we can tailor fit the sessions for you. So ano yung fit sa level of understanding and of course the need of your company or organization. So this brings us to night session, Stock Market 101. Okay, so again, thank you guys, no, for staying put, and we will now start. All right. So first and foremost, let's ano muna. I want us to get to know each other better. Currently, there are around 240 plus participants right now. Now, I want you to for this, no, just to make it interactive. I want you to. I'm going to share my screen a bit, no, but so I'm going to redirect you for this activity. All right. So let me shift that. Whenever I conduct a seminar, I always like to have a core message. And my core message for you this afternoon is this. I want us to achieve our hashtag life goals. And whatever that is, your dreams and financial aspirations in life, there are many ways to achieve them. Okay, but tonight I'm just going to share with you two things. That is to save and invest as early as possible. And that's my core message for you this afternoon. All right, so again, I want us all to achieve our hashtag life goals by saving and investing as early as possible. Now, for us to achieve this, we are going to talk about the following. First, we're going to tackle why do we need to save and, of course, consider investing. Then, out of all the investment options available, what is stock market investing? Then, third, how to trade or invest in stocks through First MetroSec. And lastly, is there a convenient way to invest? All right, so those are the things that we're going to discuss this afternoon. So first, let's tackle the first questions. Why save our hard-earned money? So essentially, hopefully we don't fall into this trap wherein we work hard for our money. Of course, we do this to for us to have some form of income, and because we use that income to build our certain lifestyle. And just a reminder, any lifestyle you choose is good. No one's going to judge you because that is your choice. But hopefully, we don't fall into the trap of instant gratification, wherein we spend on things or prioritize buying things that we want instead of what we need. Sometimes we get caught up in those respective lifestyles, especially in this generation wherein it's good to it's good na instant lahat, no? But hopefully we don't we budget, no, yung lifestyle natin for those expenses, and don't forget about the bills or our responsibilities in life, because we need to pay for our cars, for our rent, for our utilities, or if we have loans, no, those are really important, and I think you should prioritize that first, no, before lifestyles. But sometimes, no, the humanity in us, no, drives us to those directions. Sometimes we get caught up in our lifestyle and bills, that we oftentimes, no, we sometimes live beyond our income, pushing us to have no savings at all. Okay. Now, actually, stretching up your savings is okay. That's quite normal, no? Siguro, especially if you're living paycheck to paycheck, siguro if medyo sanay tayo sa ganun, hopefully this webinar can enable us to find means and ways to find some opportunities on where to save money. Because actually stretching your money, as Filipinos, sanay tayo dyan, no? Because our life here in the Philippines is different, di ba? And ang problema lang dun is sometimes whenever may mga emergencies nangyayari, when we are trying to stretch our money, sometimes we get into debt. Okay, so again, debt is actually can be good or bad. So a bad debt is when you take that debt because you want to feed that for your lifestyle, or you buy things that doesn't generate you more money. So whereas meron din mga good debt naman wherein for example, you take on debt in order to feed that money to your business, which you know uh, the rate of returns ng business mo is far greater than the interest payments of that debt, giving you a net income. So that is actually good debt. So again, debt can be good or bad. What I'm trying to point here is that avoid natin or minimize natin yung mga bad debt. Yung tipong we go into debt because uh, for example, just because we like that stuff, even if we don't have enough money to buy for that stuff yet. And of course, maybe it doesn't generate more money potentially for us. So the problem with that is it will go to a cycle because we now need to pay that debt and interest. So now we need to work harder, especially if we cannot adjust our lifestyle and our bills, then the more we need to work harder. So hopefully we don't fall into this trap. And even statistics from the Consumer Finance Survey of Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, they found out that 61% of Filipinos, uh, yung income nila is just the same as their expenses. Okay? Then 33%, their income is much less than their expenses, while only 6% their income is much greater than their expenses. So since this is statistics, we must fall into one into these three categories, no? Since statistics to siya. So the first question would be, identify first, where are you right now? Because once you are able to identify that, you could answer the next question, which is, where do you want to be? Okay, because it takes different types of processes and steps to take you from your income is less than your expenses. Siguro you would learn how to budget so that you'll be able to pay off all of your debts and make your income same as your expenses already. Then after some time, you also develop more skill, no, in order to taper down your expenses, which makes your income greater than your expenses. So again, identifying where you are right now would also let you know on the specific steps and what you're going to do to get where you want it to be. Okay, so later hopefully we can share a thing or two about this. Now, my one of my messages for you tonight is that it's not about how much money you earn, but how much money you save, no? Hindi yan sa kinikita natin, no? Because sometimes people say maybe you can save more money because your income is much higher. That may be true and that probably could also help, but actually it's not there. It's actually about how much money you save. So my analogy here is this. You see this faucet, the water flowing out of it is actually your income. You can think of that as your income. Then your wallet or your account is actually this bucket. But sometimes that bucket has multiple holes in it that represents your expenses. So our goal here is to actually minimize those holes. Okay, so we plug those holes, identify stuff that are essentially more than what we need. Maybe it's a want, maybe it's a lavish want or a leisurely want natin. So we can identify and plug those holes, and hopefully we are able to minimize that. Of course, yung sa left ninyo, we won't be able to achieve that, no, yung zero expenses. That's quite hard, and I really think that's unrealistic. So my goal lang here is just to help you minimize. That's the point lang naman. So when it comes to saving, sometimes Filipinos do it this way, no? From their hard-earned money, from their income, the first thing that they take out is actually their expenses. Okay, sometimes it's really funny kasi kahit papunta pa lang nga yung sahod, naiisip na natin kung saan natin siya gagastusin, di ba? Before thinking about saving, no, sasabihin lang natin sa sarili natin that mamaya na lang, no, mag-iipon ako pag meron akong maiiwan. Okay, so ganyan yung paminsan yung linyahan. Which ako, I cannot blame, no? Kasi when it comes to spending, it really feels nice to spend. Okay, but actually, as I learned, no, through experience, there's actually one quote that made me shift my thinking when it comes to spending. And I'm going to show you that quote right now. I read that your expense is another person's income. And that really got me to thinking, no, tama pala, no? Lahat ng ginagastos ko is actually another person or another business's income. Now, when I look at my cash flow dito, ibig sabihin pala nun, from my hard-earned money, nauna kong tinatanggal yung expenses, which is another person's income. So, ibig sabihin nun, I'm actually prioritizing the income of other people first before even thinking about saving for my future. Kasi nahuhuli siya sa equation. All right. So how do we solve this? Now again, it feels nice to spend. I acknowledge that, no, but try to think about this, no. So this can help us. So what's the solution here? So we need to pay ourselves first. Okay. So in this scenario, we are not paying ourselves first because we are spending. That's another person's income before saving. So the answer is really simple. You shift the two. All right, so you save first before you spend. So in this way, from your hard-earned money, you are prioritizing yourself and your future by taking out that savings first before spending a single peso. And I think in this way, you can guilt-free yung spending. Kasi alam mo, nakapag-ipon ka na on the onset. Alright, so yan. So I think this is, when I learned about this also has been a game changer for me. And I've been doing this also na. Yung tipong from your payroll, you know naman when dumadating yung yung pay ninyo or your salary, you can actually set up auto debit, no? You transfer from your payroll account to your savings account, whatever be that goal is, para tanggal na siya from your payroll. Then whatever is remaining doon sa payroll account mo, pwede discretionary spending. And you can spend that however you like kasi nakapag-ipon ka na in the first place. Alright, so with this I think dito rin po mapasok yung topic natin about budgeting. Alright? Because you have to understand that a budget is telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. No, I don't know if you have many instances wherein when you open up your wallet or your bank accounts, you try to scratch your head and think, no, where did all that money go? No, so no, napa-add to cart, no, or something. But actually, maganda sa budget is that it can, before pa dadating yung pera, we already know where that money goes. Okay? So I'm going to share with you here 5 easy steps to plan a budget. So first is to actually determine your take-home pay. So I think that's very important. No, dapat alam mo ano yung netto, no? So net of all the taxes and everything, how much is your take-home pay? After that, apply the 50-30-20 rule of thumb. Again, hindi pa dumadating yung pera natin, ha? So before your money comes into your account, think about naman, I think salary is already, that we expect how much naman yan, give or take. So we apply the 50-30-20 rule of thumb. Ibig sabihin yan, 50% for your needs, 30% for your wants, 20% for your savings and investing. So again, 50-30-20 rule of thumb, that's 50% for your needs, 30% for your wants, 20% for your saving and investing. After applying that, third is to put the allocated money in separate envelopes. Okay? Pag dumating na yung pera, try to separate that, no? So ilagay niyo siya in various envelopes. Ito medyo old technique siya, no? Envelope technique ang tawag nila dito. Okay? Kasi yung mga envelopes, you can actually label that, no? Label niyo doon needs, label niyo yung next envelope wants, label yung next to be savings and investing. Okay? But of course, ngayon medyo upgraded na tayo. You can do this actually to your respective na mga bank accounts. So for example, if you have a separate accounts for separate na ganito, na mga needs, then from your payroll account, pwede ka mag-set up ng auto debit, 50% to your needs na account, 30% for your wants. Pwede mo na yan siya iwan sa payroll mo for your discretionary spending, and 20% you can fund your, for example, fund yung FirstMetroSec account nyo. You can do that actually automatically. Then fourth, some people find this really hard, no, yung tracking expenses to check for leaks. So again, I think it's very important to track your expenses. Noon, what I used to do was to actually manually do it, no? Nung college ako, my parents were sending me money. So whenever I go home, I give them an audit, parang report, no, na parang naka-highlight doon kung ano yung mga ginastos ko. And actually, that activity helped me to check for leaks. I realized na sobra pala yung gastos ko in this part than the other part. Abutin na lang ngayon, we have technology. Marami ng mobile apps out there that tracks your expenses. Okay? So, ayan, that could really help you a lot. And especially mobile phones, we carry that around all the time naman, no? So, whenever you have expenses, you can track it. Tapos, mga mobile apps out there, meron pa yan talaga silang let's say budget app, no? Or budget wallet. So for example, you allocated only 30% for your wants. Then whenever you transact, na-identify niya na wants siya na category, it will tell you how far you are from the budget or nag-over budget ka na ba. Okay? So same goes for other categories. Meron din mga goal wallets out there wherein, for example, if you're saving up for a big trip ninyo na travel after the pandemic, you would see in terms of percentage how close or how far you are pa. All right? So also, it also sometimes gives you yung report. No? This is where number 4 comes in. Because when it generates to you a monthly report or a yearly report, you can look at the categories that you have actually inputted there. Then you can see if you spent too much on that aspect. Okay? And lastly, of course, when you're able to track your expenses, you'll realize na paminsan may sobra pa tayo. So whatever you see, no, yung difference, no, yung may naiwan pa kayo, okay, from your needs or your wants, tapos dumating na yung next na pay ninyo, you could save and invest that difference. Of course, just to beef up your savings and investing. Okay, so those are your 5 easy steps to plan a budget. So after that, what do you need to save up for? Okay, so actually there are many things that you can save up for. All right, so I hope this pandemic was able to help you realize, no, that the following situation actually are possible, no? I think ito yung biggest takeaway talaga sa pandemic. So again, hopefully the pandemic enabled us to open to these realities, no, that we need to save up first itong mga ganitong situations pala. First, the pandemic showed us, di ba, we had high unemployment rates. So siguro lucky for those na nakip pa rin nila yung trabaho nila, pero we realized na may mga instances pala na ganun, na pwede pala tayong ma-unemployed automatically. Because again, the pandemic was a black swan event. So how do we shield ourselves from that? Yun, no, this is where it's very important to save up for your emergency fund. Okay, so emergency fund, its rule of thumb is 3 to 6 months worth of your average monthly expenses. Okay, so 3 to 6 months yan. So ibig sabihin, if you have 100,000, if you have, for a simple calculation na lang, no, let's say you have 20,000 na average monthly expenses, then your emergency fund should be 60,000 to 120,000. Okay, so yan dapat yung emergency fund ninyo. Okay, so we also need to save up. Possible pala na magkasakit tayo. Okay, and pag magkasakit tayo, again, apektado yung family natin because we won't be able to go to work. And what if the worst thing would happen to us? No, which was possible. We've seen that towards the pandemic. So in order to shield our dependents from that scenario, it might be prudent to also get good enough coverage na insurance ninyo. And of course, belonging sa sister companies namin, you have AXA for insurance naman side. Okay? And the rule of thumb is 10 to 15 times worth of your gross annual income. Okay? So ibig sabihin yan, if your annual income is 100,000, so yung coverage dapat ng insurance ninyo from the rule of thumb is 1 million to 1.5 million. And I think I would forward you to the financial advisors na nandun, no, because I'm not an expert. Wala din akong certification regarding this. But based from what I know, 10 to 15 times worth of your gross annual income. So what's the rationale behind that? Because for example, mamamatay tayo, then at least our family can still live off 10 to 15 years worth of income. Kahit hindi sila makahanap ng trabaho, mabubuhay sila. Yung sa emergency fund naman, bakit 3 to 6 months worth of your average monthly expenses? That's because at least pag nawalan ka ng trabaho, you have 3 to 6 months worth of average monthly expenses, you can use that habang in between jobs ka pa. So you have 3 to 6 months to find a new job and build that up again. Okay, so hopefully we are aware of this, and the pandemic opened up our eyes to these realities. Okay, so again, save up for the following crisis. Now, as dim as that is, I believe tayo naman lahat dito have visions of ourselves 5, 10, 15 years down the road, no? Hindi lang naman parati tayo nagpre-prepare sa mga worst scenario. But I think it's very important na you think of that first. Kasi what if that worst scenario happens, at least prepared ka. Mawalan ka ng trabaho, you have emergency fund. You still have 6 months to find a new job. If something happens to us, we can, siguro, no, beg my wordings, no, but we can rest in peace kasi our family would still be alive, no, for 10 to 15 years worth of our income. All right, but of course, no, our life, we need to enjoy that beautifully. We need to envision and achieve our goals, be it gusto natin magkaroon ng gusto nating sasakyan, gusto nating bahay, gusto nating mga gadgets. We want to travel after this pandemic, no, so siguro this stay at home na mga quarantines is a good opportunity for you to save up on that dream, di ba? And for those of you who are single, of course, sooner or later, you will plan to marry. That entails money also, no? I don't think my marriage pa na would not cost siguro on average couple of hundreds of thousands na siya ngayon. Okay, for a normal wedding. Okay, and of course, no, once you are wed, of course, you also plan to rear a child. And pag anak na yun, no, of course, we want to give them the best. And of course, kailangan natin paghandaan yan. Kailangan natin paghandaan yung college education niya, so on and so forth. So we need to save up for our hashtag life goals, which is one of the takeaways tonight. For example, gusto natin pag-ipunan yung travel after the pandemic. So mag-budget tayo, sabihin natin, let's travel worth 120,000. Yan yung budget natin. You want to save while pandemic is still at large. So sabihin natin for 2 years, no? So nag-start ka noong 2020, by 2021 or 2022, meron ka ng 120,000 for travel. Okay, na bahala kung saan yung gusto yan. And it's not even that hard kasi 120 divided by 24, that's just 5,000 pesos per month. So again, if you're going to do this automatically, from your payroll, deduct kayo, diretso nyo doon sa travel account ninyo or travel fund account ninyo, you can automatically save and do that, no, without very easy, walang hassle. Okay? Tapos hindi ka pa mapapaisip na ay mamaya ko na lang mag-ipon, no? Ano na lang, gagastusin ko muna to. So, especially if you're going to do it automatically, after 2 years, meron ka talagang 120,000 in your travel account. So, you get excited, no? You set up your travel, you estimate your expenses, you realize na yung cost niya would not be 120,000. It would now cost you 135,000 pesos. And you might ask yourself, bakit? No? Actually, yan na yung concept ng inflation. Okay? So essentially, inflation is just the increase of prices of goods which diminishes our purchasing power ng pera natin. So this is the Philippine inflation rate as of December 2020 from PSA. And as you can see, almost 2% lang yung inflation for most of the year. But in November and December, nag-uptick siya to 3.3 and 3.5%. Bringing our average inflation at 2.6% sa 2020. This is actually higher than 2019 kasi sa 2019 the average inflation was only 2.5%. And yun nga, no, that's actually one of the worries ng investors ngayon kasi ngayong January, 'di ba, the inflation was at 4.2% and may inflation pa rin, no? I think ramdam natin yan sa mga palengke natin, sa groceries natin. We've seen some of the prices of the goods na binibili natin nag-increase talaga. Alright, so for example, para simple lang, no? Ma-appreciate natin because most of us have this. We buy rice, no? In 2010, yung 500 pesos look like this. And when I asked my parents, 500 pesos ninyo could buy daw 15 to 20 kilos of rice 2010. Fast forward to today, 2020, 500 pesos look different, na iba na yung look and feel niya. But the question is, how much rice could it buy? And average rice ng per kilo is nasa 50 pesos. So that's only 10 kilos of rice, which the same amount of money could buy you 15 to 20 kilos of rice noon. Again, we're saving sa present natin, but looking at the past, it seems like the price of rice would still increase. By how much, we do not know. No? I don't know, no, if possible, but pwede, no? Hindi natin na baka 1 cup of rice na lang yan siya by 2030. Alright? So, ayan. Again, just to make things simple and at least we are on the same level. Ito yung effect ng inflation. Now, ang problema natin is what if the money that we have doesn't beat inflation or it doesn't grow as much as inflation? Okay? So, ayan. So, dagdagan ko lang yung message ko sa inyo kanina. Again, kanina I told you it's not about how much money you earn, but how much money you save. Again, importante, no? Hopefully, I was able to emphasize na importante first na mag-ipon tayo. Pag-ipunan muna natin yung mga crisis, no? Unemployment or yung potential natin na magkasakit tayo or in case kunin na tayo ni Lord. So, kailangan natin pag-ipunan yan. But of course, meron din tayong mga goals, no? Kailangan din natin pag-ipunan yun. Now, while pinag-iipunan natin sila, we have to put at the back of our heads the inflation rate kasi that's actually eating the purchasing power of our money. So, to add, it's not about how much money you earn and how much money you save and how you make it grow. So importante yun na how to make it grow. So again, just go back to my analysis. No, kanina, di ba, yung income, yun yung water from the pipe. Then meron kang bucket. Nalaman na natin, no, from the budgeting tips, we know how to plug some of those holes already and minimize that. So ngayon, with those budgeting and saving techniques that we've learned, parang nilagyan na natin yung bucket natin ng sand, no? Kasi yung sand, di ba, or sorry, soil, no? Kung may soil tayo dun sa bucket natin, nako-contain niya yung tubig. In this case, yan yung income natin, di ba? Mas matagal siya mag-evaporate. But sayang din naman if that soil is all just barren, no? Wala siyang laman. We could actually plant seeds doon, di ba? So if we plant seeds, we can make that grow. But as we are growing that, we have to be worried na meron yan siya sa external factors, no? Such as yung mga caterpillars sa mga plants, di ba? They're going to eat yung growth ng plant mo. And siguro, just for analogy, that's your inflation. Okay, so kakainin niya. Okay, so ang goal na natin talaga ngayon is that we make the growth of our money faster than the rate ng inflation. Okay, so yan. Again, it's not about how much money you earn, but how much money you save and how you make it grow. Moving forward, let's answer the next question. Again, importante na mag-save, no? Ngayon, we know na because of inflation, hindi enough na mag-save tayo. We also need to consider to grow our hard-earned money kasi nga we want to beat inflation. And that is actually where investing comes in na topic. Okay? So, do you have different actually investment options out there? I'm going to discuss yung mga basics muna. For example, you have here your deposits, no? That's your normal na time deposit, savings account, and checking account. For you to earn money dito, you're going to get the interest na whatever ba yung naka-indicate sa savings or checking account or sa time deposits. But as you know, the rates of these are relatively low. Kasi nga, relatively safe naman din kasi itong mga deposits, no? So, of course, you deposited your money to the bank for safekeeping. Essentially, they're just going to find other borrowers to so that they can profit, no? Kasi from those who borrowed, they're going to charge interest from that. The difference will be their income from the interest that they pay you. The difference with the interest that they got from the borrowers, yan yung kikitain ng bank. But usually itong deposits are ginagamit to siya for short-term goals natin. Good thing about deposits lang is that meron siyang PDIC na insurance. Alright? So PDIC insured siya. So after deposits, you also have bonds. No? Yung bonds naman are forms of debt. For example, the government, meron siyang mga project, or yung company, meron siyang mga upcoming na mga project. What they could actually do is they could raise capital from the public by issuing bonds. Pero itong bonds are debt securities. Ibig sabihin, utang. Pag government bonds, nangungutang yung government sa inyo. Napansin yung mga retail treasury bond, they have different reasons why they're raising up capital. So if you agree to those and you think they will able to pay you back that money naman, then you can go for bonds. So maganda lang sa bonds is that may coupon payment siya. So ibig sabihin, during the offering nito, they actually indicate how much will be paid in, tinatawag siyang coupons kasi noon, yung literal na papel na bonds, meron siyang coupons na pag tinanggal mo yun, i-present mo siya doon sa institution that issued the bonds, bibigyan ka ng coupon payments noon. But right now, we just call this interest payments. Okay, kasi for example, retail treasury bond, nasa yung RTB 24, nasa 2.6 to 2.6%. Okay, so sometimes you're going to tell you kung yearly ba nila babayaran yun or quarterly. And yun, no, ang beauty lang ng mga bonds is that, ano siya, since it's a debt security, if you're going to hold it up until maturity, ibabalik sa'yo yung principal. So, ibig sabihin, yung pinahiram mo sa kanila, ibabalik nila sa'yo. Okay? If you hold to maturity. But mind you, bonds can actually be traded, no? Kasi meron din tayong tawag na bond market. So, if you're going to trade it sa secondary market, yun, may opportunity ka for capital gains. Ayun nga lang, if you're going to trade it na, you're going to sell it, then hindi ka na entitled doon sa upcoming na coupon payments na naman. Kasi hindi na sa'yo yung bond eh, di ba? But sometimes, no, because of fluctuation sa market, it rises or decreases in value. Okay? In general, yung coupon payments or interest payments ng corporate bonds are relatively higher than your government bonds because of the perceived risk factors ng corporation compared to a government. Because of course, the government mas less likely siya to default than your corporation. So, ganun siya. So, considered relatively safe ang government bonds. Pero again, mind you, it's still factored by fluctuation ng market as it is actively traded sa secondary market. So, if ayaw mo maapektuhan nun, then you can just hold that to maturity so you can get your principal on top of the coupon payments. So, bonds are usually good to siya for medium to long term. So, siguro sabihin natin 3 to 5 years. If you're not going to use the money in 3 to 5 years, you can put it in bonds than your deposits. This will come, mas ma-realize ito later na as we go to the other slides. And lastly, you also have stocks. No? This is another asset class wherein stocks are shares of ownership in a corporation. So if you are a shareholder or a stockholder of that company, you partly own the business. Okay? So since you are a part owner of the business, then you can way for you to earn is through price appreciation and dividend yield. So mamaya no, i-discuss ko tayo siya in detail. Kasi again, yung stocks once it is listed, nasa secondary market na yan, subject to market forces. If maganda yung prospects for that company, people would buy that stock at a much higher price. If ayaw nila yung prospects ng company moving in the short term or longer term, then they can sell that stock. So ayan. And of course, if the company is earning money and they decide to pay out portion of that, you can get that through dividends. But again, due to the volatility ng stocks, magandang perspective for stocks is actually long term, no? So greater than 5 years would be a good one. Okay? So just to summarize yung tatlo, you have your deposit, you have bonds, and you have stocks. As you go further to the right, the risk you take if you're going to invest in this actually increases. But like life, if we are able to take higher amount of risk, the potential return actually increases. Okay, so when it comes to returns, ano ba yung mga returns recently? So for example, sa deposits, for a right amount of money, you can get siguro a time deposit na 0.5% per annum. Okay? For bonds naman, yung RTB24, they issued this last year, I believe, no? Had a coupon or interest rate of 2.625% per annum. And the bond has a 5-year maturity. So ito pala, no, yung bond, sometimes may 3, 5, 7, 10, depende yan siya. Pero yung RTB24, 5 years yung term. So ibig sabihin, 5 years hawakan ng government yung pera. Okay? Then every year, mamimigay sila ng gross 2.625% per annum na interest payment. Okay? But after 5 years, mabibigyan ka na ng 2.625% per year, ibabalik pa sa'yo yung principal. Okay? Yan. Tapos yung stocks naman, ito, it's not like your bonds and deposit na fixed and guaranteed yung returns. No? As you can see, yung bonds, alam mo talaga yung rate per year. Even your deposits, no? Defined yung rate mo per year. Pero sa stock market, it depends on the performance of the underlying stock or securities na pinag-investan nyo. But when you look at the index, ending 2019, the 10-year average growth rate niya is around 9.85%. Okay, so which is relatively higher talaga than your bonds and your deposits. Okay? So again, di ba, why are we investing? Because we want to beat inflation. Now, from the numbers we see here, only bonds and stocks can actually beat inflation or can be at par with it. So does that mean hindi na tayo mag-i-invest sa deposits? The answer is no. Because we need to factor in also the third axis. We call this your time horizon. This is very important when it comes to investing. I believe sa time horizon pa lang, malalaman mo na siya kung saan mo maganda siya ilagay. Okay? So for example, your short term na mga goals, like your emergency fund, no, yung emergency mo, you don't know when that will happen. 'Di ba? So importante sa'yo, if that happens, dapat mabubunot mo yung pera. Then as much as possible, dapat same yung amount niya. 'Di ba? Imagine niyo, what if you're going to place your emergency fund doon sa stock market? Na 'di ba sabi ko kanina, the rate of return sa market cannot be predicted talaga. All we can give you is just historical data on how well it has performed. But if you're going to, let's say you're going to put your emergency fund in stocks, then maybe what if naabutan ka ng pandemic? For example, the pandemic hit, stocks were really down. But for example, nagkasakit ka, you need money. Now, since sa stocks ka lang nag-invest, then you're putting yourself in a position na you would sell your stocks even at a loss kasi kailangan mo na yung pera. So that's why for short-term goals, it might be best to put in deposits kasi kahit mababa yung rate of return niya, yung relative risk niya naman is mababa din. So pag kailangan mo na yung pera or in times of emergency, buo yung pera mo. Okay? Kahit hindi siya masyado kumita ng ganun kalaki, pero at least buo yung pera mo. Okay? Now, for your medium to long-term goals naman, I think, ito na yung next na ituturo ko sa inyo, is building your growth fund. No? Tapos na tayo matutunong how to build your emergency fund, ngayon growth fund naman. And I think it's good to have a good mix between your bonds and your stocks. Okay, so mix natin yan. Okay? So, in this regard, I'm going to share with you, no? Again, to beat inflation, it seems like bonds and stocks na makakatalo. Pero, it's very important to actually diversify. No, don't put all your eggs in one basket. We need to have allocations for each of those asset classes, deposits, stocks, and bonds, depending on our financial goals. Diba? For short-term, deposits, medium to long-term, mix between stocks and bonds. Because we need to diversify because we need to balance risk and reward. It's not enough lang that we look at the potential reward. We have to see that even though malaki yung potential sa stock market, the risk, meron din siya, same amount of risk din yung ini-expose mo sa sarili mo. So again, balance your risk from your reward. So dito na pumapasok yung topic natin on asset allocation. And this is a long topic, but siguro one shortcut would be to actually ask yung mga ano natin, parang magagaling na mga investors on what they recommend. So first and foremost, we have here Benjamin Graham. So he's the author of Intelligent Investor. For the mga fundamental analysts out there, ito talaga yung book na binabasa nila first. So yung suggestion ni Benjamin Graham is 50-50 stock bond allocation. Very simple. 50% stocks, 50% bonds. Okay? Yung sumunod kay Benjamin Graham, yung I think one of the greatest investors also, you have Warren Buffett. So si Warren Buffett doon sa 2013 letter to Berkshire Hathaway investors niya, he indicated there yung what would the lawyer do to yung iiwan niya na pera sa asawa niya. Okay? So sabi niya, whatever will be left for my wife, 10% should be in government bonds, 90% in low-cost index funds. So as you can see how confident Warren Buffett is in low-cost index funds. Kasi majority, pinalagay niya doon 10% lang sa government bond. So medyo aggressive to siya na asset allocation. So you also have here one of the famous hedge fund manager, you have Ray Dalio, and this is his all-weather portfolio. So as you can see, hindi siya as aggressive as Warren Buffett kasi around 30% lang, 30% lang yung sa stocks niya. Whereas he divided his bond exposure to long-term and intermediate bonds. So 40% in long-term bonds, 15% in intermediate-term bonds. And he did not stop there. He even had allocations sa gold and commodities, 7.5% each. And he calls this his all-weather portfolio. So a little bit of everything dito sa kanya, no? But here's also another one, last one from John Bogle. He's actually one of the considered din as one of the influential sa mutual fund industry. He authored the Little Book of Common Sense Investing. So sa kanya naman, he has a rule na your age in bonds, the rest in stocks. So ano ibig sabihin nun? Ganito siya. For example, you're 20 years old. Sabi niya, since you are 20 years old, your age in bonds. So you put 20% in bonds, 80% in stocks. No, kasi that's 100 minus 20. So lagay mo muna siya sa bonds, your age, the rest in stocks. So you do this, no, every time mag-birthday ka, you recalibrate this to a point na when you reach 40 years old, you increase your allocation to bonds as you decrease your allocation to stocks. So right now, your age, 40% in bonds, the rest in stocks. And you recalibrate this again every year up until you reach old age or retirement at 60 years old. So again, your age in bonds, 60% in bonds, 40% in stocks. So again, what's the rationale again around here? The rationale for this is because kung 20 years old ka pa, for example, you're preparing for your retirement, then you can afford to put more in stocks than in bonds. Kasi mas you can still maximize the growth potential in stocks rather than the stability that your bonds provide. Whereas kung 60 years old ka na, of course, you don't prioritize siguro yung stock potential growth ng stocks. Kasi by then, you need the stability and income provided by your bonds already. Kasi nga, you're already in your retirement years, then you need a supplement ng income mo. Or, again, kahit yung stability lang niya, you don't expose yourself to higher risks already. So again, for John Bogle, your age in bonds, the rest in stocks. Right now, after learning about the importance of saving and budgeting, we appreciated na at the back of our heads, kailangan pala natin alamin na merong inflation. That enables us to think of investments, no? Kasi investments helps us beat inflation. So maraming the investments out there from deposits to bonds to stocks. Okay, na-explore natin kanina a little bit of their different characteristics, no? So higher risk si stocks, higher potential return, then lowest si deposits, pero lowest din yung risk niya and lowest din yung return niya. So again, we don't have to invest in one asset class. We need to diversify. Kaya tinuruan din kayo ng asset allocation strategies, no, from different experts din, no. So you can choose na lang to start with. Ano pa naman to, kakasimula niyo pa lang. Okay, so right now, with all those na mga preliminaries, hopefully ngayon you will be ready na for stock market investing, and that's what I'm going to discuss in this next step natin. So what is stock market investing? Stock market investing is like owning a business without having to run the business. Okay, so kasi if you own shares of a company, you're essentially a part owner of that company, represented by that share. Okay? But you don't have to run the business. Ibig sabihin, you don't have to be part of the operations nila. You don't have to help them increase their sales, no? So on and so forth. You're just a part owner. So this is like putting your money on the principal drivers of the economy. How so? Because when companies issue stocks, usually it's to raise capital from public investors. Because of many reasons. Some companies have new projects that they'd like to take part. Na instead of issuing bonds, they'd like to issue stocks. Okay. For example, if they like to expand their store networks, then issuing stocks would also be one way for them to raise capital. Or for example, they have a new product that they'd like to launch, then that's also one way for them to raise capital. And sometimes may mga instances then that they issue stocks to raise capital to pay off debt. So how does this work? So essentially, you can treat the whole company as your whole pizza. So you take 1 or 2 slices of the pizza, sabihin natin 20 to 30% of the company, they're going to chop that into millions of shares or stock. Then of course, they're going to offer that stock to the public, no? They will put that, no, they'll put a price tag on that stock. So sabihin natin 250 pesos. Of course, no, because they cannot give that for free because may value yung stock na yan. Bakit? The company has assets. Okay? So ngayon, the investors would look at the prospectus of that company, why they would raise the capital. Okay? So some investors would prioritize yung mga IPOs na for expansion purposes. Kasi kung expansion siya, ibig sabihin that would increase its exposure, its network, then more outlets for them to earn more money. Okay? But okay, for example, some investors, maybe they find the price too steep, so maybe they find that price too expensive, so they don't participate. But for those who will be participating, they will essentially be exchanging their money for the stock. Okay? And when that happens, that's what we call our initial public offering or the primary market. It's called primary market because this is the first time that the stock was traded for money. So the company stock was essentially traded by the investors' money. And this event is called the initial public offering. Okay? So there's actually two ways for you to participate in upcoming IPOs. Actually, meron mga upcoming IPOs next week ata. Meron na. I'm going to discuss siguro a bit of that later. But for upcoming IPOs, you can participate using your FirstMetroSec account. Just go to your platform, log in kayo with your username and password, then go to main, subscriptions, then select the IPO that you'd like to subscribe to by inputting the desired number of shares. All right. Then lastly, of course, make sure that your account is funded. Dapat ano siya no? Cleared cash balance siya. Hindi lang siya yung buying power. Okay? Kasi pag buying power mo kasi if you recently sold stocks, malalagay niya siya sa buying power mo pero hindi pa yan siya cleared as cash. We cannot use that to actually pay the company. So we need cleared cash balance to cover for your IPO subscriptions. Okay? So by the way, yung subscription ninyo through FirstMetroSec is not guaranteed because for every broker, limited lang yung allocation niya. So of course, we need to distribute equally to those clients na subscribe to us. So ayan, so you might not get your desired allocation. But for those allocation na makukuha mo, it will be automatically lodged in your FirstMetroSec account on the listing date. Usually niyan before the opening of the market. Hawak-hawak nyo na yung stocks na yan. Okay, so again, no guarantee sa FirstMetroSec na subscription. But best effort basis siya. Okay? So alternatively, you might consider also opening an account sa PSEEC, which is the online LSI. So maganda nga to kasi online na siya. No? Noon kasi sa Luzon located, you have to physically turn over your documents and mahirap siya for people like us here sa Mindanao. Buti na lang meron ng online LSI or this is for local and small investors. So you just log into their website, that's easy.pse.com.ph and enter your username and password. Then make sure to nominate First Metro Securities as your online broker during the registration. So pag may active na IPO during the offer period, you can click on that, then subscribe by indicating the number of shares you wish to reserve. Nandun yung offer yan, it will be indicated there. Ang maganda lang sa PSEEC is that, ano siya, almost guaranteed sa PSEEC yung allocation mo. Pero note, maximum amount of allocation usually is nasa 100,000 pesos worth of shares lang siya. Okay, so again, maximum amount is 100,000 worth of shares. Okay, then lastly, you have to pay for the subscription and it would be actually sent to your email address, yung payment instructions and how to go about it. Then since you nominated FirstMetroSec as your online broker, then ano siya, it will be automatically lodged to your FirstMetroSec account sa listing date. Okay? So alternatively, there's another way for you to actually use yung funds ninyo sa FirstMetroSec, no? Mayroon lang, just go to our help center on how to go about this, no? Yung you pay your PSEEC subscription using your FirstMetroSec na cleared cash balance. So parang meron lang kayong pipiramahan na form for that. Okay? So again, this can give you an idea, no? For example, sa FirstMetroSec, hindi naman siya guaranteed. So you can alternatively subscribe them through PSEEC. Okay? Para at least you can, yung desired allocation, yung higher yung allocation na mabibigay sa'yo. Okay? Alright, so those are your two ways. Now, once that is listed, it will now be in the secondary market. Diba? Tapos na yung primary market eh. Okay, ngayon nasa secondary market na yan and that's what we call your Philippine Stock Exchange. Okay, so yung Philippine Stock Exchange essentially composed of your buyers and your sellers. So your sellers, for example, yung mga nakabili during IPO, they have the stock, no? Nasa kanila yung stock. Then, for example, for those na willing to sell those stocks, they would ask a certain amount from the buyers. So that's why they call this the ask price. Okay? Sa kabilang side naman, you have the buyers na sila naman, meron silang pera na pwede nilang pambili sa stock. But of course, the buyers would also dictate the price that they would like to buy that stock. So, we call that your bid price. Okay? So, paminsan, walang transactions nangyayari if there's a mismatch between your bid and ask price. Pag magkaintindihan yung buyers and sellers to a certain price, that's only when the transaction is commenced, no, or initiated. And that's actually where we come in. First Metro Securities Brokerage Corporation, we facilitate the buying and selling of your shares. Okay, yan yung role namin. We help you do that, all right, as a broker. So just to remind you, this is actually the PSE trading hours, the regular trading hours niya. So 9 a.m. it pre-opens. Then up until 9:30 a.m. yan. But there's a no cancel period from 9:15 to 9:30. Again, it opens at 9:30 a.m. Then continuously trade up until it takes a market recess on 12 noon. Okay? That market recess lasts up until 1:30 p.m. Okay? Before the PM session resumes up until 3:15, wherein it enters the pre-close period. Yung pre-close period hanggang 3:20 p.m. siya, pero there's a no cancel period from 3:18 to 3:20. Alright? Then, it enters market runoff from 3:20 to 3:30 p.m. wherein merong trades pero only at the closing price up until it closes at 3:30. So this is your regular trading hours, but due to the pandemic, they shortened this. Okay, so ngayon, 9:30 pa rin open yung market, then it continuously trades up until 1 p.m. Alright, so wala nang market recess ngayon. But I think once the pandemic is hit, pag mag-back to normal na, I believe they would still revert back to this regular trading hours. Okay, so during this trading hours, sometimes you see this on news, no? Yung may gumagalaw sa baba, no? We call this your ticker tape. And di ba kanina, paminsan may mismatch, walang transaction, pero pag may mag-intindihan na buyer and seller, may transaction na gaganap. Yung transactions na yun yung nakikita nyo dito sa ticker tape. Okay, so sa ticker tape, here's one example. Sometimes you see there MBT 66 1360. What does those number mean? Okay, so MBT just stands for your stock symbol. 66 is your price. Then 1,360 is your number of shares. So ibig sabihin dito, 1,360 shares of Metro Bank was traded at 66 pesos. Okay, and yan yung nakikita nyo sa ticker tape. Okay, so live transactions yan during trading hours. Alright, so hopefully nag-take down notes kayo, no? Kasi may milestone ulit tayo mamaya. Baka maraming yung trading hours, no? Sana na-memorize nyo. Alright, just kidding, no? Hopefully you just enjoy the session as we go along. Alright, so talking about trading stocks, no? How much ba talaga yung kailangan mo to invest in or buy a certain stock? So in that regard, I'm going to introduce you to the topic of the board lot table. So sa board lot table, you can see there the price ranges and the minimum number of shares for that specific price range. So for example, MPI traded close kanina at 4.05 pesos. So as you can see, 4.05 is in this category, dito sa 0.5 to 4.99 pesos na range. And as you can see there, you need 1,000 shares board lot. So ibig sabihin, minimum yan siya. So 1,000 shares minimum, so mga around 4,100 kailangan mo to buy MPI. Okay, and by the way, yung board lot is not just the minimum, ano rin yan siya, minimum number and the increments thereof. So minimum is 1,000, then increments thereof. Next example, you have LT Group at 13.82 pesos per share. So hindi na siya sa 0.5 to 4.99 na range, nasa 5 to 49.95 na siya. So now you don't need 1,000 shares, you only need 100 shares board lot or minimum. So around 1,400 ang kailangan nyo to buy LTG and increments thereof. And Ali, 39.5. So still within that range, no, sa 5 to 49.95. Still 100 yung minimum board lot. So that is around 4,000 pesos ang kailangan nyo to buy Ali. URC, trading at 132.70. So hindi na siya doon sa previous range. Nasa 50 to 999.5 na siya. You don't need 100 shares. You only need 10 shares. Okay? So, for example, Globe, traded at 1,995. So it's already in the greater than 1,000 range. So you don't need 10 shares, you only need 5 shares. So again, as you have observed, maganda sa market is that as the stock price increases, the minimum number of shares required to participate decreases. So again, one of my messages here is you don't need a lot of money in order to invest. Okay, to start with. Okay, so siguro in that thinking, medyo long-term yung perspective natin. Okay, so these are just examples. All right, now you know yung board lot. Hopefully, new learning to for you. So right now, how can we earn? So there are two ways for you to earn in the market. First is through price appreciation. Essentially, when you are able to buy low and sell high. So for example, if nabili nyo siya at IPO price, mababa, tapos grabe yung demand, nag-increase yung demand for the stock. Buyers would like to buy it at a much higher price. Then you can earn through this, through price appreciation. Kasi again, one way for you to earn sa market if someone is willing to buy that stock from you at a much higher price. Okay, so if ito yung punteriya mo, you're looking at the growth potential of the company. But again, di ba, not all of us naman growth yung intention. Some investors, mas importante sa kanila yung income. So, yung dividend might be more relevant for them. Kasi dividends is your stockholder share of the company's profits. So, if the company has a net income, then the board of directors could decide how much or a percentage of that would be paid out to all existing stockholders as a form of share ng profit. Okay, so usually you can see medyo mga mature na mga companies, medyo mas generous sila mamigay ng dividends because again, yung growth potential, yung ano nila, yung pwede nilang i-grow kasi mature na sila is not as much na as yung ano, as before, no, yung hindi pa sila mature na company. So instead of reinvesting that money back to the business, they'd rather pay that back to the investors. Okay, so in the form of dividends. So here are some types of stocks. You have preferred stocks. So yung preferred stocks, they pay fixed dividends. Okay? And as you can see here, I got three. You have Ayala Corp's na preferred shares, GT Caps preferred shares, San Miguel Corp's preferred shares. You can see their dividend rates here sa third na column. You can see that is fixed. Okay? 5.25%, 5.09%, and 6.81%. But as you can see, relatively higher yung yield nila than common stocks. Because yung, let's say, yung mga index stocks nga, yung on average, nasa 2 to 3% na yung dividend niya. So looking at that, and yung mga index stocks mo are best posed to pay out dividend, higher talaga yung dividend rate ng preferred stocks. Tapos, not only that, may potential pa siya to appreciate in price. Because when you look at the fourth column, yung market price, as of January 5, for example, si Ayala Corp na preferred shares B1, 515 na yung market price niya. So, this is already higher than the issue price. So, pwede, if enough yung spread for you, you can decide to sell that sa market. Okay? Pero yun nga lang, yung bumili sa'yo ng preferred share na yun, since nili niya at a higher price, makikita mo yung fifth column, yung yield niya, bumaba. Hindi na 5.25%, 4.15%. Okay, so if hindi niyo masyado naintindihan yung sa bonds kanina, I think this can help you appreciate that concept. Yung tipong sa secondary market mo siya ibebenta. Okay? Tapos, when you look at the last column, yung payment dates, you can see that different yung months na binibigay. So you can check that out. So if you're the type of investors na you'd like a monthly stream of income from dividends, one from your preferred stocks, you can set it up here. No? Yung tipong, let's say, bumili ka ng 3 preferred stocks. Tapos at least dito, they pay out different dividends per month. Parang may cash flow ka sa dividend payments. Alright? So that's your first type of stocks sa market, preferred stocks. You also have common stocks. Now, ito, pinagkaiba niya is that variable yung dividends. It's not like your preferred stocks na fixed yung dividends niya. Dito sa common stocks, this is as declared by board of directors. So for example, the company has a net profit, the board of directors can give more dividends in a certain year. So kaya paminsan may nakikita kayong special dividends. Okay, so kasi nga variable yung dividend, hindi siya fixed. But when you look at mature companies, meron silang tinatawag na dividend policy na in a certain range lang yung percentage of net income yung ibibigay nila sa investors. But of course, if you invest in growth stocks, you don't expect masyado na mamimigay sila ng dividends, no? As you can see in this example. Si Globe, no? When you look at Globe, 5.41% siya. Pero si JFC, also a blue chip, 0.3656 na yung dividend yield niya. By the way, how was this computed? Ang ginawa dito is, for example, si Globe, market price, 1,995. When they looked at the last 12-month na dividend paid out, total is 107.99. So if you bought that stock at the market price, then considering, no, if ibibigay nila the same amount of dividends yung last 12 months to the next 12 months, then your expected yield is nasa 5.41%. Okay? So, ayan. So, variable siya. Kasi for example, si JFC, 0.3656% lang. Si RRHI, 1.80% lang. And mind you, some companies do not give dividends. Kasi nga, they might prefer to keep their net income to grow the business further. Okay? Yung tipong nasa growth stage pa sila. But yun again, if hanap nyo is potential for long-term gains, ang opportunity can be found in common stocks talaga. Kasi ito yung yung preferred stocks, most people invest there because of the dividend flow lang din eh. So you don't expect talaga na mag-increase talaga yung demand for that. Kasi nga, people invest in that mainly for dividends. Pero if habol nyo is yung price appreciation, you can find opportunity sa common stocks. And yun, mind you, dun sa last column, payment frequency, some companies pay quarterly, biannual, or once a year lang. So just to give you a concept, no, for example, si Jollibee, you can see medyo mababa yung dividend yield niya kasi I believe nasa growth stage pa siya. In the sense na when you look at the news, it's acquiring different types of businesses pa, expanding its store network not only sa Jollibee brand niya but also others, no, by buying other companies. So essentially parang nag-grow pa lang talaga si Jollibee. So kaya maliit lang yung binibigay na dividend. Whereas when you compare that to Globe, na medyo mature na yung company niya, medyo saturated niya na sa market, di ba? So they can afford to pay more sa back to the investors in the form of dividends. Okay? In a general sense, but we need to discuss further by attending some of our seminars after. Okay? So noon, common stock lang talaga and preferred. Pero ngayon, meron na tayong bago. We call this your Real Estate Investment Trust or you call this your REITs, no? R-E-I-T. So, based sa law, they own income-generating real estate assets around 75% or more. Then, usually, meron silang 3-year track record of profitable operation. So, yung sinasabi nilang they own income-generating real estate assets, one example we have, actually, this is the only REIT available sa market right now. We call this your A-REIT. Okay? And si A-REIT, that's Ayala Land na REIT, ito yung mga properties under sa kanya. Okay? So you have McKinley Exchange Corporate Center, Ayala North Exchange, Solaris One, Teleperformance Cebu. I think one of the reasons why nag-IPO sila because they want to acquire itong Teleperformance Cebu. And yung the 30th Corporate Center. And all of this, of course, mga office rentals yan siya, they are income-generating real estate assets. Okay? Tapos, ang maganda sa REITs is that, by law, the dividend should come from at least 90% of annual distributable income. For example, since si A-REIT naman ang nag-manage niyan, they were the one who collected the fees, they were the ones who were doing improvements on those properties, wala na tayong problema dyan. Now, after all of those income generated and the expenses from the operations nitong mga assets na to, for example, the annual distributable income is, let's say 10 million, 90% of that is 9 million, should be distributed in the form of dividends. Kaya itong mga REITs, more of dividend plays talaga siya. But not just dividend play, no? Kasi si A-REIT, yung IPO price niya is at 27 pesos. But yung current price niya, nasa 34.40. So you can see na meron talagang demand for this stock. Kasi it wouldn't rise by this much naman if wala talagang demand for that stock, di ba? Demand from the buyers is the one naman pushing the price higher. Okay? So ako gani, kahit ako, I was not expecting this kasi when I look at REITs, medyo similar yung performance niya, I think, no? If I were to think about it, similar to preferreds. Yun nga lang, itong REITs, meron siyang mga ability to appreciate in price kasi 'di ba yung mga rental sometimes may escalation naman yun, no? Sometimes nga yung mga escalation rates na ano niya pa yung nafa-factor in niya pa yung inflation. So may mga ganong factors you need to look at REITs. And meron actually isang upcoming, no? Isang upcoming na REIT, you have yung kay Double Dragon. Okay, so you can look at that online. Upcoming na yung naka-disclose na sila about the offer. Hintayin nyo na lang yung offer period. I believe that's next week. So you can check out yung, di ba tinuro ko kanina yung IPO. So you can try to subscribe to that. If you like, no, if you like the prospects ni DDMP, then you can consider Double Dragon REIT. Okay, so tingnan nyo na lang online ano yung prospectus niya, ano yung mga real estate assets under it, and yan, we can help you in that regard. All right, and out of all those stocks, si PSE actually handpicked, no? Around their 200 plus stocks sa market ngayon, si PSE handpicked these top 30 companies to represent the local index. And we call this the Philippine Stock Exchange Composite Index or your PSEI. Okay, so as you can see, top 30 yan siya. Later, ipapakita ko yung some of the metrics na kino-consider ni PSE when choosing these stocks. So as you can see, most of these companies we are already customers of. Okay, and so there's some, parang we can see ano yung mga characteristics of these companies just by looking at it. All right. But again, since the PSE actually looks into these stocks and they also have a metrics what will be included to this index, paminsan they rebalance. I believe twice a year, they rebalance twice a year. So they look into these stocks kung meron silang i-increase yung weight. Kasi kahit top 32 sila, hindi to sila equally weighted. Na yung 100% of the PSEI divided by 30, equal weight sila, hindi. No? Some of the stocks here are heavyweights. So yung tipong SM Investment Corporation, Ayala Land, no? SM Prime Holdings, one of the top weights ng PSEI. Okay, so may tinitingnan na metrics si PSE. I'll show that sa next slide. Na paminsan may tinatanggal din sila. Not only change the weights, no? But paminsan may tinatanggal sila at pinapalit. One of the latest example is si Semirara Mining Corporation. Semirara or SEC was actually part of the index before, pero ngayon pinalitan na siya ni Emperador Incorporated. Okay, so ngayon tinanggal si Semirara, pinalitan na ni Emperador. Alright, so after niyan, so ito yung mga metrics. No, by the way, when yung top 30 stocks na yun, which represents our local market, by the way, parang Gilas Pilipinas natin yan sila. Kasi kung may representative tayo sa basketball, Gilas Pilipinas, tama ba? Gilas Pilipinas sa soccer, representative natin are the ASCALs. Sa market naman, yung pambato natin are your index stocks. These index stocks are also called blue chip stocks kasi sa poker, they are the highest value. Pero hindi lang yan sa value kasi actually, no? Kasi si PSE, some of their metrics are the following. Yung free float level niya must be at least 12%. Also, when it comes to the median traded value niya must belong to the top 25%. So, dapat actively traded din siya. Then also, market capitalization, which I think one of the biggest factor talaga, should be one of the top 30. Okay, when you say market capitalization, that is the outstanding shares multiplied by your share price. Okay, so yan yung some of the metrics by PSE. So you can look into that, no, if you're tracking kung ano yung papalitan or i-change ni PSE when it comes to weightings. But yan, medyo technical, no? But when you look at the companies lang in general, they have good brand recall, no? Pagkita nyo sa mga logos kanina, you know their products and their services, and you know from the brand na merong good demand for their products or services. And likely, no, if you're a customer of them, then probably it has the lion's share in its sector when it comes to customer base or yung parang na-acquire nila na share sa market. And because of this, among other na categories, this could help them weather economic downturns. Yun nga lang, no, with the pandemic ngayon, it's saddening na maraming namatay, maraming na unemployed, no? But on the business perspective naman, parang this was a way for us to see sino yung mga companies who are strong when it comes to their balance sheet. Kasi imagine niyo, 3/4 siya na wala masyadong income, no? Little to nothing yung income. Pero if they were able to weather that, no? There must be something in that company that enabled them to weather that economic downturn. Ito nga, hindi nga to economic downturn as in parang the economy was flat talaga during that time. So, yun nga lang, parang weeding out the strong from the weak ito. Yung, when it comes to the business naman na perspective. Okay? So, yung blue chip stocks na yun, meron siyang points, no? Tawag na yan na index points, no? This is naman yung technical analysis. So, this is how the PSEI has performed since March of last year, no? Yung kasagsagan ng pandemic. So, relatively nag-recover naman tayo. I'm just going to go fast dito kasi medyo technical analysis na to siya. But essentially, no, where is the market right now? So the market recently went down your 50-day moving average. No, itong purple line mo. And after it went below the 50-day moving average, it has actually acted as a dynamic na resistance. As you can see, nag-try siya umangat towards that 50-day moving average pero may selling pressure around that level. Then bumalik yung presyo. Okay? When the price, no, sorry, wala akong cursor. But when you look at dito sa right side, yung red na circle, yung nasa gitna. So, yun yung sabi ko na break niya below 50-day moving average. So, again, it tried to retest again, pero may selling around the 50-day moving average. It went down, pero ngayon, it seems like your 100-day moving average, yung pink na line ninyo, it's acting like a support. Kasi the last time, no, after it fell below your 50-day moving average, nag-bounce siya around your 100-day moving average, nasa 6,600. And ngayon, still sloping upwards, pero nag-bounce ulit siya doon. So ngayon, ano yung mga tawag nating resistance or support levels? So ngayon, it seems like the market is poised to go higher, but it has to break above yung resistance levels niya around 7,000 to 7,150, around the 50-day moving average. Okay? Tapos if it's able to break above that, then it has to decisively break also 7,300, yung dark na line dyan sa taas, before we can see what more upside ahead. But again, that's the bullish outlook. On the other hand, if ever the market naman falls further, then the next support zone mo is 6,600. The red line you see there, yung horizontal line. So if it breaks below that, we might see further downside. That is in the technical perspective. Pero yung research team namin, they have quite a bullish outlook sa economy. Hopefully, you were able to attend our Traders Playbook session for their full insights. Okay, so again, your support level is 6,600. If it falls below that, lighten positions. The next resistance level mo is 7,000 to 7,150. If it breaks above that, next mong resistance is 7,300. It has to decisively break pa above that before we see further upside. All right, so you'd like to learn more of that, attend our technical analysis session on, I forgot, no, check out nyo na lang yung events date namin. Later, papakita ko rin siya after this session. So right now, Benjamin Graham said that successful investing is about managing risk, not avoiding it. So ngayon we acknowledge, no, I hope I was able to impress upon you in this whole session that by virtue of investing, not only just in the stock market or even the bond market, especially sa stock market, we are taking a certain amount of risk. But we understand that the stock market is a really good way for us to grow our money, especially kung mataas yung time horizon natin, ma-weather natin yung ups and downs niya. So right now, we have that risk. What we need to do right now is to manage that. Okay? Of course, so hopefully we don't avoid it. But again, if hindi kaya ng investing personality ninyo, if mas comfortable kayo sa bonds, then just go for bonds. No? Huwag niyo pilitin yung sarili ninyo. Okay? Not everything is for everything. No? Walang one size fits all. Again, it depends sa'yo. I cannot stress that enough, no? Even sa mga sessions namin from even the Guided Investor Fearless Trader series namin, we always emphasize the beauty, the importance of acknowledging your personal, no? Yung personality ninyo. Ano ba yung type of investor kayo? Okay, so again, investing is personal. Depende yan siya sa inyo. So again, how do we manage risk? First is to use investable cash. I think I emphasized that. Kaya nagsimula tayo dun sa financial literacy, no? Even though stock market 101 to siya, I think it's important to emphasize din na ano yung mga foundations that we need to take muna. So again, use investable cash. Hopefully by now, meron na kayong emergency fund, meron na kayong insurance, you know how to budget already, and you know how to ngayon, siguro gusto niyo matutunan how to allocate na ngayon your investable cash. So of course, when you invest na, of course, you don't invest in one stock lang. That's quite, even though how much you love that company, it's dangerous to invest in one stock lang. It's always a good idea, no? Kanina ko pa ito na-emphasize, yung value of diversifying. Now, hindi lang yun siya diversifying in asset classes, but even sa stock portfolio ninyo, maganda rin na idea to diversify. No, even nga this year, our research team even has 3 sectors that they're looking into. So you have your property sector, you have your bank na sector, and of course your consumer discretionary. And they think na these are the sectors that would do well in the conditions ng market ngayon. So meron din sila mga stock picks. I'll show you one of them later. But again, my point here is to invest in leading stocks from various industries to diversify. But in case something goes wrong into one of the industry that you are invested in, it could be tempered by other gains nyo sa ibang industry. And of course, when you look into stocks, listen to well-experienced professional research analysts. And this is where I'm very proud of our research team kasi they really work so hard to provide you high-quality research reports. Yan yung papakita ko sa inyo ngayon. And this is how FirstMetroSec can help you. So again, feel free to trade with confidence because we upload regular research reports. To access this, just go to the research tab. Then click nyo yung FMS reports. Once you click FMS reports, you have access to many. One of which is the company research report. Ito na yung parang picks ng company namin in even yung mga stocks within its coverage. So actually, one of the stock picks ng FirstMetroSec Research right now is si SM Investments Corp. Kasi maganda yung exposure niya kasi yung gusto nila na sector, exposed din si SM to those sectors. So SM's got it all for you. They have logic or justification on their buy call on this company. So dito sa left side, you'll be able to see ano yung reasons why they think SM is a good buy. They even have a price target there of 1,250 pesos. So from the last traded price nung pag-issue ng report, nasa 1,050 pesos pa siya. So it was good enough upside for them to give it a buy call. So I believe for large caps, basta more than 10% yung potential na opportunity, they issue a buy call. Again, the basis of this is fundamental analysis. Tinitingnan nila yung books ng company and yung potential niya in 1 to 2 years. Okay? So, ayan. Another report that we have is actually the market, sorry. We also have this Consensus Corner Research Report. So the Consensus Corner Research Report, medyo siya, di ba kanina, your company research report, that is yung from FirstMetroSec Research. They have, within their coverage, meron silang target price for the stocks that they issue a buy call. Pero hindi lang yan, other brokerage and other analysts also have target prices on their stocks. So some companies are conservative, mababa yung target price nila. Some analysts are optimistic, mataas yung target price niya. The beauty of your Consensus Corner is that it finds you the average, yung parang best estimate mo sa based from the analyst na perspective. So you can see here the different types of stocks broken down siya into different sectors. Then you can see here the last traded price. Then you can also see there the dividend yield. So assuming they would give out the same amount of dividend the last 12 months, same yung ibibigay nila in the next 12 months from the day that you bought it from their market price, yan yung parang perceived na dividend niya moving forward. And of course, that's your one way to earn lang sa market, yung dividend yield. So siguro, let's use MPI as an example. Si MPI traded at 4.2 pesos, dividend yield 2.66. Okay? Second way for you to earn is to put sa potential price appreciation. And through fundamental analysis, may consensus target price yung mga analyst na 5 pesos yung average na target price niya. Okay, so again ha, different analysts, magkakaiba yan sila ng target prices, but itong consensus corner, it's taking the consensus or the average. So since 5 yung consensus target price, you have a potential of 19.05% sa ano na yan, sa stock na yan. So also you have a consensus rating of buy. Okay, so for beginners, I think this is a good way. Kung hindi pa kayo marunong to do fundamental analysis on your own, this is a good way for you to start. We also have the market blueprint report. Ito naman, weekly yung perspective. So every week, we publish this every first trading day of the week. So we give you the summary of what happened to the market last week. We also give you our outlook of the market the next week and the stock picks for the week. So mind you lang, no, pick siya for the week. Ibig sabihin, usually kung may mga recent news that could affect, no, even fundamental or technical na perspective, that might affect the stock price moving forward for that week lang. Okay, so again, I have to emphasize it for that week lang. Also, we include their economic data and even the PSEI technical analysis. What I shared to you kanina, I just got that from our market blueprint research report. So yung binabanggit ko kanina na support, resistance levels, moving average, you can be familiar with that doon sa blueprint report. All right. Then we also have the stock screen research report. Ito naman if you're the type of investor na specific type of stocks yung gusto mo. Baka gusto mo yung type of stocks na expensive but growing. We have the following screener. Tawag namin riding the momentum. So again, hindi naman yan siya binunot lang from the air. May actual fundamental screens siya actually, such as high EPS growth and high PE ratio. Okay, so for example, if you're the type of person naman na dividend player ka, you give importance to high dividend yielding stocks, okay, then the yield seeker report might be good for you. Kasi one of the screener niya is high dividend yield and high dividend coverage ratio. This gives potential dividend plays for income investors. So those are just 2 examples of the report. One report lang to siya, then merong 4 na investing portfolios within that report, then each of those have 4 or 5 stocks per screener, depending on the following metrics. If you'd like to learn more about these, attend kayo doon sa basic education on stock trading namin, I believe, week after next. Yun yung schedule namin, yung best part 1, 2, and 3. Doon namin i-explain itong isa-isa nito. Alright, that's your stock screen research report. Then we also have, for those na traders naman, medyo active sa investing nila. Hindi sila yung tipo na buy and hold, no? Sila yung tipo na kung may opportunity na nag-swing upward yung stock, they buy that stock. Pag medyo they see resistance na or meron ng maraming selling, they also sell that stock. So here's a trader's playbook. The backbone or the skeleton niya is this. I really like this, no? Kasi it tells you first what happened, then the analyst view of that news or event and how it can potentially affect the stock price. Then third is recommendation. So for example, kung buy call siya, then we tell you where maganda pumasok. Usually nasa support zone yan siya. If ever naman umangat yung stock, you can take profit or exit around sa resistance level. But again, sa trading, no, again, I have to emphasize this kasi hindi na to investing, na yung tipong buy and hold. Sa trading, you have to be comfortable with cutting your losses. Kasi again, you went into that stock because you're expecting it to go higher. But if the market does negates that hypothesis mo, then you should be comfortable to cut your losses also. And that's very important, no, to preserve your capital. Okay? And mostly naman dito, no, we have a good naman na risk to reward ratio. Ibig sabihin yan, yung cut loss point mo, mababaw lang siya compared to your potential profit. So maganda yung risk to reward ratio. So tingnan nyo na lang if you're amenable with the set. Again, these are just recommendation. At the end of the day, kayo naman talaga mag-i-input ng data doon sa platform on where you'd like to buy or to sell. So just to give you reference, this is our research report summed up. So as you can see, yung weekly market call namin, yung market blueprint, has a 60% batting average. Yung weekly stock picks naman namin have a 62% batting average. Yung stock screen report namin, as you can see here, yung PSEI as of December 15, 2020, it went down already by 7.52%. Okay? But yung mga stock screen have actually outperformed the index. Okay? Kasi when you look at the, let's say, si riding the momentum, it was actually up by 3.01%. Si value play was up by 1.21%. Okay? Si yield seeker, negative siya. Negative 2.65, pero that's still better performing kasi si index niya, negative 7.52%. So, even though negative si yield seeker, pero better pa din siya. And mind you, presyo na yung tinitingnan yan. Hindi pa yan kasali yung dividends na nakuha ng investors within that time frame. Yan. As you can see, yung nag-outperform talaga last year was your unloved stocks. Nasa 21.98% siya. So siguro yung investors, they really grabbed the opportunity ng pandemic to sweep up bargain stocks. Okay? Then lastly, yung traders playbook sa taas, you can see the hit ratio is 71.4%. So ibig sabihin, yung mga buy calls namin, 71.4% of them hit yung target profit na naka-indicate doon. And of course, imposible yung perfect trade, no? That's why nag-set tayo ng cut loss kasi in case nagkamali tayo, we minimize our losses and protect our capital. So for the 28.6% times namin nagkamali, yung cut loss levels naman nun is relatively lower than the potential profit niya. Okay, so essentially, mas marami yung times na nag-profit siya and yung profit levels are malaki compared to your cut loss level, you would still get a net profit dyan. And that's very important skill for trading net profit. Again, walang perfect trade. So essentially, in summary of what we've discussed right now, first, we should save our hard-earned money by budgeting because we want to protect ourselves for the next crisis and achieve our life goals. Then invest to grow your money and diversify to balance risk and reward. Hopefully, I was able to emphasize on that. And of course, trading stocks and investing in mutual funds made easy through FirstMetroSec. So actually, this is just the last start. I was actually supposed to share more about yung voluntary investment program namin. But yun, check out nyo na lang, no? We don't have time. I apologize na kulang tayo sa oras. But anyways, you can automate yung investing nyo sa ETF or mutual funds through our voluntary investment program. So with that, I'd like to circle back to my presentation. I want us all to achieve our hashtag life goals by saving and investing as early as possible. Okay, hopefully through the presentation, I was able to emphasize that to you. So again, there's no guarantee in investing, but if you don't invest, nothing will happen, and that's a guarantee. So again, feel free to invite us for a free webinar, whether you're in Luzon or Visayas and Mindanao. We have team members for the whole of Mindanao to conduct these sessions. But for more sessions, I'd like to invite you to our upcoming webinars. Ngayon, tapos na tayo sa Stock Market 101. Even siguro more of financial literacy. On March 4, same time, 6 p.m., Mutual Funds 101. Then March 6, this is Saturday. That's full website navigation, 3 p.m. So if you'd like to know how to navigate your FirstMetroSec account, that's March 6. Then yung mga basic investing, basic education on stock trading namin, that will be on March 16, March 18, and March 20, Part 1, Part 2, Part 3. And a special discussion on March 10, Mutual Fund Investing Hacks Every Filipino Should Know. All right, so I'd like to invite you to that sessions. Also, we also have recurring or periodical sessions such as our Philippine Stock Market Wrap-Up, monthly to every end of the month. And yung yearly namin na Traders Playbook, which we uploaded the session already in our YouTube channel. Check nyo yun siya. So also our YouTube channel, nandun yung saving and investing webinars namin for free. Even your Traders Playbook is uploaded there in some of our sessions. You can also tune to us in Spotify, our which is the top ranking PH business podcast right now. Every Tuesday, meron kami podcast doon. One account for all your investment needs, be it you'd like to trade stocks, invest in mutual funds through your desktop, laptops, or mobile phones. Pwede yan siya through FirstMetroSec. So again, if you want to diversify your portfolio, ito yung i-discuss sa Thursday about mutual funds, FundSmart 101. Then essentially, main advantage namin is we have a zero sales charge feature. Laking tipid niyan, especially if you're going to do peso cost averaging. Then sometimes we also participate in mga bond offerings ng treasury. But again, right now I don't have the license to talk about this yet. So check out nyo na lang yung Facebook page namin for these offerings. Tapos naman din to sila. So yeah, so check nyo na lang siya online. So again, with FirstMetroSec, you have access to PSE stocks, real estate investment trust, exchange traded funds, mutual funds, and sometimes mga bonds. So even trading using your mobile phones is very okay kasi meron kami mobile app with biometrics login, access to research reports, and even conditional orders, pwede. Funding options is also mostly online na. So you can use your Metrobank, BDO, BPI, and Landbank na online banking facilities. Even convenient options such as your credit card, your GCash, coins.ph, so on and so forth. And even your 7-Eleven na click, pwede siya. So we've also gone paperless from account opening to account funding and withdrawal and account statement. Yung account opening namin, you can just go to our website, www.firstmetrosec.com.ph, click niyo yung open an account. That is only open from on weekdays lang. So weekends, walang account opening. Tapos available lang siya from 6 a.m. up until 2 p.m. Okay, so check niyo yung website namin for this. All this convenience within your reach through Finance Asia's back-to-back, not only back-to-back, no, but Philippines Best Broker for 2017, 2018, and 2020. We have a hashtag Your Future First. So for further questions, you can go to our help center. That's help.firstmetrosec.com.ph. And yeah, most of your questions under the sun sa stock market trading sa First Metrosec mostly answered there. Yeah. Then join our growing First Metrosec family. Search nyo lang facebook.com/groups/FirstMetroSec to engage with other First MetroSec clients also. Pag meron na kayong account with us, let us know via our Facebook page. We can add you to our First MetroSec Market Updates Viber group for updates, news, announcements, and research report alerts, recommendation, and stock market guidance. Feel free to connect with us. This is our website, www.firstmetrosec.com.ph. Our social media channels, hanapin nyo lang yung handle @FirstMetroSec. For account opening concerns, you just email account-opening@firstmetrosec.com.ph. Pag meron na kayong account with us and you want to update your profile, you'd like to forgot your password ba, you need help ba with any transaction, email kayo sa customer service @firstmetrosec.com.ph. So again, apologies for the technical difficulties. Hopefully nag-enjoy naman kayo as we learn throughout this session. And yeah, I think we'll take this time to actually answer your questions. All right, so it's already 8:49, so well beyond our time. All right, so let's look at the question. So can we use conditional orders for new FMS user? If you're going to use our classic platform, yung firstmetrosec.com.ph or firstmetrosec.ph, you cannot use conditional orders there. You can use that. Kung gusto niyo mag-conditional orders, either you use our mobile app, FirstMetroSec Go, or log in using new.firstmetrosec.com.ph. Or if ever meron kayong pro access, pwede din kayong mag-conditional orders doon. So again, you can use conditional orders via the mobile app or the new.firstmetrosec.com.ph or pro.firstmetrosec.com.ph. May we be able to have a copy of the investor personality test? Did we do? I don't think we did the investor personality test right now, no? But yes, no, if you go to FundSmart, meron actually doon client suitability assessment. I think naka-pattern naman doon yung investor personality test namin. So feel free to head to FundSmart tapos take client suitability assessment or take risk assessment pala yung term. So here's a question. Can we open FMS without MBTC account? Apologies, sir, but right now, for us to be able to activate your account faster, we only cater those with Metrobank accounts muna ngayon. So if you don't have a Metrobank account for now, you can go to your nearest branch if mas comfortable kayo with that, or you can try their Earnest digital account. So, you can just search, punta kayo sa Metrobank na platform, hanapin nyo doon yung earnest if you'd like that part. You can use either for your settlement account sa First MetroSec. So, next question, maganda ba ang normal board lot kaysa odd lot? In terms of ano sir, market pricing, mas maganda doon sa normal board lot kasi yung paminsan yung odd lot, because nga in the sense na butal siya, paminsan malayo yung presyo. Sometimes you're able to sell your shares, pero for example, may stock dips kayo, gusto niyo lang siya ibenta kasi butal siya. When you go to the odd lot, not naman every time, but most of, I think, many times, ano siya, mas mababa yung mabenta nyo. Kasi nga, odd lot siya eh. Depende din siya sa supply and demand there. Okay, so is it possible to get a copy of at least a summary of your presentation? Yun, siguro I presented naman my email address kanina. Please shoot me an email so I can send you a PDF copy of this presentation. Okay, so ayan, no? So, a question, no? Yes, merong recording. We have a recording for this webinar. I believe I will be able to send it to you a few days from this time. How much is the starting capital for stocks as a newbie? Okay, so when it comes to starting capital sa First Metro Securities, the initial funding is 5,000 pesos. So siguro you can start with that. But yung 5,000 pesos mo, you can buy siguro a couple of stocks na rin for that. Kasi when it comes to the starting capital, siguro yung reference natin is your board lot or your minimum number of shares. Okay? So yung minimum number of shares ninyo, nagva-vary siya for different price ranges. And I've shown you examples kanina. Okay? So use that for your reference na lang. Next question. For buyers, how can we know what bid price to put in to meet an ask price? Okay. So when you go to your FirstMetroSec account, I suggest you attend our full website navigation kasi doon ko yun siya i-explain. Yun nga lang, apologies, naipit tayo sa oras, no? Kasi there was actually a part for me to discuss this pero I was not able to do so. But essentially, when you look at your platform, when you go to trade, then go to normal order, makikita niyo doon yung mga bid and ask prices for the stock that you'd like to buy or sell. So it's not actually trial and error kasi makikita niyo doon sa bid and ask ano yung best prices. Okay? So makikita niyo doon yung, for example, sa sell side, the cheapest na willing to sell. Sa buy side naman, since these are buyers, this is the most expensive willing to buy. Okay? So sige lang, attend kayo doon sa website navigation namin on Saturday. We will answer that in depth. Live, I think I can do that live din. So another question, are we required to open a Metrobank account for the First MetroSec? Noon sir, hindi siya required, but right now in order for us to accommodate yung applications faster, we require ngayon yung Metrobank account holders muna. For now. Okay, for now siya. Okay, next question. Do we need to meet a number of people before we can invite you for a talk or webinar? The answer is no. No, so kahit a few lang, kahit 20s. But of course, no, mas marami, mas maganda kasi we can maximize the time, no? But no minimum number of people to invite us for a webinar. So I've shown you our email addresses. Email kayo sa customer service namin, yung invitation ninyo, then we'll see who is available to take that spot. Okay, so thank you for the compliments, no, great presentation daw. Very si sir, generous and kind words. Okay, I appreciate that, no, at least medyo stress ako kanina pag start, no, but yeah, hopefully natapos din. How to get more info on the voluntary investment program? Sir, please go to our help center, help.firstmetrosec.com.ph. Meron doon option sa baba, voluntary investment program. Again, doon, kung gusto niyo mag-automatically invest, that's the good way to go. No? Personally, ako, ganun din ako. No? From my payroll, I take out a certain amount, I invest it sa index fund. Okay? Yan. All right. So another question, pwede bang mag-open ng FMSec without Metrobank account? For now, sir, hindi pa po pwede. Okay, so right now, we require muna na Metrobank account holder kayo. Again, for now. Sir, what if not yet familiar in stocks? Is there extensive training for stock? Yes, sir. I highly recommend our guided investor fearless trader na webinar. So unlike sa mga free sessions namin this month, meron siyang bayad, but I believe very worth it siya for what you're going to learn there. May mga worksheets din na ibibigay sa inyo that I think is really good for you to start. And if you really like to seriously learn how to trade the market or invest in the market, gift is your next level. Okay, so ngayon you can start with our free sessions from our basics, next level, intermediate courses. Then once you're okay with that, you can proceed to our Guided Investor Fearless Trader series. So next question, meron po bang short selling sa PH? For now, wala pa po, pero I believe in the pipeline na siya. Of course, we'll wait for PSE for further guidance. Full website navigation will be, I believe it will also be recorded. But ayun, only those who registered and went in the session will be given the recording. Okay? Next question. Thank you, by the way, no? Ano lang natin, appreciate natin yung teammates ko nandito answering some of your questions. Thank you sa business development team, no? I think I see Marge and the rest of the team here. Thank you. Ayan, here's a good question, no? If I prefer growing money from dividends, will dividend be automatically deposited to FirstMetroSec account? The answer is yes, no? So yung dividends mo, it will be placed in your buying power. So good question na ganun na kasi some people think na didiretso doon sa settlement account nila. So different pa yon. Your dividends will just be in your buying power. So here, may question na what is conditional order? So ito sir, yung conditional order, these are your orders na it would wait for a price level to be reached before triggering an order. So yung normal order kasi or yung limit na order, you post that order automatically to the market. So pipila siya doon sa bid and ask. Pero yung conditional orders, hintayin niya muna na magka-transaction at that specific price that you indicated before siya magpo-post ng buy or sell limit order mo. Okay, so watch out for our pro website navigation once we have a schedule for that. Okay, next question. Pwede ba kahit student mag-open ng account sa FMS? Iisa lang valid ID, no TIN and SSS yet. So students can actually open an account. You saw naman kanina sa intro, di ba? Marami din students who are trading the market. So to answer the question kung pwede student, yes. So preferably sana yung valid ID niyo would be a driver's license. Okay? Tapos, yung SSS not required yata for students. Okay? Pero yung TIN, lahat required. Kasi when you trade stocks, meron taxes involved there and we are the ones filing for you dun sa BIR. So, TIN is kailangan. So, what I suggest to students is that apply kayo sa FirstMetroSec online. Just leave lang yung TIN 00 to proceed. Pero after you're done with the application, our new accounts team will be able to detect na hindi kayo nag-provide ng TIN. So once they ask you to provide for the TIN, that's the moment you request for an TIN endorsement letter. Parang we will endorse you to BIR. You can show that letter to BIR na requesting na bigyan kayo ng TIN for you to open a stock brokerage account. So again, so that is a suggestion. Okay, so here's another question. Mataas kasi agad requirement pag pro user. Sana pwede rin mga new users na below 100K pa lang po. So for those na medyo mataas sa kanila yung criteria for pro, by the way, yung criteria for pro access is first, you should trade 100,000 na buy and sell worth within a month, or meron kayong stock and or mutual fund portfolio na 200K worth. That makes you eligible for Pro. Okay? If hindi nyo pa kaya yon, you can try our new platform. So just go to new.firstmetrosec.com.ph. Yun siya, pro-inspired yun siya. Okay? So I believe meron din yun siyang conditional orders doon, pero hindi lang siya as full-featured as your Pro. Account opening will take how long? 10 to 15 minutes. Very short lang siya. And you can do that online. Ayan, no? So, ayan, no? May mga fellow Bisaya pala dito. No? Ano daw ibig sabihin ng stock rights offering? So, stock rights offering parang second round siya ng IPO. Pero yung eligible lang for the stock rights offering are existing shareholders. So may ratio yan siya na, for example, for every X number of shares that you have, you're entitled for this number of shares. Okay? Pero usually niyan, to give the investors, parang to encourage investors to avail of that SRO, usually naka-price siya lower than the current price. So that's your stock rights offering. So, yung new round talaga, tawag nila doon is follow-on offering. Hindi lang siya eligible for existing shareholders, but to all na siya. They call that your follow-on offering. Okay? Yeah. Ayun, what is your email ad? So, maybe I can show this. Okay. Yan na lang po. So, those are contact details. So, again, I think better to email customer service. Yun, pag medyo specific yung, let's say, if you'd like to ask for the presentation, you can email me. Dyan. That's my work email. Yes, no? So here's another question. Mas maganda ba mag-invest sa ETF? Ay, a very good question, no? Again, apologies na naubusan tayo ng oras to answer that. But yeah, it's a good idea kasi maganda sa ETF. I think it's good to have a portion of your portfolio in ETF or exchange traded fund kasi ano siya, it gives you diversification that a mutual fund has. So for a small amount of money with your board lot lang na amount, you can invest already in that, diversified ka na doon. And by the way, ngayon, only isa lang ETFs na sa market. We call that First Metro Exchange Traded Fund or FMETF. So, at least na-diversify ka na doon. Tapos, ano pa talaga siya? You can sell it sa market lang din kasi it's actively traded. So, yan, in virtue of diversification and liquidity niya by means of ability to sell it sa market, yes, maganda po mag-invest sa ETF, a portion of your portfolio. Kahit di ba mag-email for request, I believe, yes sir, I believe lahat ng nag-attend ngayon would be sent an email link of the recording. Yan, do you have fund managers or advisors to help clients during stock trading? Sir, I think first and foremost, we have research reports. We have traders playbook to help you on that. Okay, so yung research reports namin can help you a lot already. But siguro, for example, kung meron kayong, for example, if you'd like to ask for opinions, siguro meron kami mga events that you can actually have opportunities. For example, yung ginagawa ni Royce, no, yung monthly wrap-up. So, yan, you can ask siguro questions there. Or siguro if you have access, no, sa mga business development team members who can, if you'd like to ask our opinion, I think that's possible naman. Okay? But yun, yeah. Ayan, so for newbies like me, can I start buying those with small price shares per stock like Mary Mart? So to answer that question, I think for newbies talaga, no, kung newbies talaga, I think, no, kung ako tatanungin niyo personally, you might consider sticking to the index issues muna. Okay? Kasi you might see there na, for example, mga maliliit, no, small price na stocks, you think that, ang initial kasi na impression ng baguhan is that pag maliit yung presyo niya, then ano pa siya, it has a long way to go higher, no? But actually yung presyo is just a number lang sa market eh. Mas maganda tingnan yung tinatawag namin na relative valuations, no? Like yung mga PE ratio, price to book value, yung mga ganun na mga ratios, you would learn that dun sa basic educational stock trading namin. We will discuss that there. So, attend kayo sa mga seminars na yon kasi hindi lang enough to look at the price. Okay? Maganda siya in a sense na pag gumalaw siya, malaki yung effect ng presyo, pero we need to dig deeper sa kanya. So, hindi lang presyo titingnan natin siya how much it earns for every peso that we invest, how much yung relative price niya from the market price to the book value per share. So, may mga ganun consideration siya. So, attend pa kayo on our beyond na kasi siya sa scope sa discussion ngayon. Okay, next question. All right, so I believe I was able to answer most of the questions already, and it's already 9:08. So thank you for sticking with us for the 171 who are here. Thank you, and good night, everybody.